me, Michele, on the street lights on the corner. City vibes got a story. Feel the beat, don't ignore me.
Welcome into another episode of Talk to Me, Michele. I'm your host, Michele, with that one L. What's good, everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. We all grown up in this piece. I'm black and unbothered unless I have to be. That's just my attitude. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, please don't make it your last. Hit that subscribe button. And if you've been listening for a while, do me a favor. Go to your favorite podcast platform. Leave me a glorious review. Glorious. Okay? Let me know why you like the show, the topics, the tone, and all that other good stuff, all right? Let me know. But, I've also opened the doors up to my listeners to send me some letters and also topic suggestions. And I got another letter this week. This one is very, very juicy. And I've actually been in this woman's shoes before, okay? So let's get into it. Dear Michele, I need straight up advice because I'm done sugarcoating how I feel. I had a friend who would constantly cry about being single, saying she prayed for God to send her a good man. She made it sound like she was waiting patiently and doing everything the right way. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, she was messing around with a married man, and she didn't even feel bad about it. She's out here asking God for a blessing while disrespecting someone else's whole marriage, and somehow she still believes she deserves a husband of her own. Like what she's doing doesn't matter. The level of denial and hypocrisy is unbelievable. At this point, I've completely lost respect for her. I don't even feel like I know who she really is anymore. Keeping her around feels like enabling behavior I don't agree with. And honestly, it makes me question her character in every other area too. Would it be worth confronting her, or should I just cut her off without saying another word and leave her to whatever her consequences brings her? I'm tired of pretending everything's okay when it's not. I just need a little honest advice on how I should move on without wasting my time or energy. Sincerely, done with drama. All right, I'm gonna grab my reading glasses and something that rhymes with fine. Because this letter right here is a whole soap opera. It really is. Done with drama. I'm gonna first of all say bless your heart. Because you stumbled upon a classic case of someone wanting a cake, eating someone else's cake, and then wondering why the bakery isn't delivering them free cake. The audacity out here is real, and it's something to behold. And I'm going to let you know something. You're not wrong. This isn't just a little white lie. It's a full-blown backstage tango with someone who's already promised their dance card to somebody else. And that prayer bit, the irony is thicker than Texas humidity in August. It's like robbing a bank and then asking the teller to pray for your financial success. It don't match, okay? So you're standing at the crossroads right about now and asking yourself, should you stay or should you go? Honestly, my gut is saying what your gut is saying, okay? Louder than a toddler who's been denied a cookie. You've already lost respect for the friendship. It's gone. You don't recognize her. Hypocrisy is giving you a headache, and these are all flashing neon signs pointing toward the exit door. Why bother confronting her? Because that's going to be a losing battle. People who are that deep in denial have built Fort Knox around their delusions. You might get a temporary crack in the foundation, right? Patch it up, but trust me, you're going to need a whole construction crew to re-put that together. Because you're going to be out of breath, drained emotionally. Because when you confront them, it's going to be some tears, it's going to be some deflection, maybe even her trying to flip the script on you, trying to make you the bad guy for not being supportive. So, is it worth it? Absolutely not. Your time and your energy are precious commodities. Our time and energy for women is like a good pair of Spanx on a bloated day. You know what I mean? So don't waste them on somebody who's already operating in a different moral universe. So my advice, or at least what I would do, I would take a page out of Beyonce's playbook and say, boy, bye. A clean, swift cut. No lengthy explanation needed. You've already done the emotional labor of processing her behavior, and she's shown you who she is. And I always say, when people show you who they are, believe them. So if you need to unfriend, unfollow, maybe even sage your space to get rid of anything lingering of that single and desperate with secretly scandal vibes out of your space. So let her navigate the consequences of her choices. Karma has a way of showing up uninvited to even the most exclusive pity parties. So surround yourself with people who have similar morals, who operate with honesty and integrity. So those are the kind of friends whose prayers align with their actions. Those are the people you need to be around. Just embrace the peace that comes with letting go of toxic relationships. And I promise you, it is so worth it. You got better things to do to be a spectator in somebody else's drama. Trust your instincts. Just walk away and you'll thank yourself later. You got it. All right, I'm going to shift gears and get into the topic of the episode because I'm about to go deep. I mean deep, sea diver deep, okay? The kind of deep that might make some of y'all squirm in your seats. Clutch your imaginary church fans. But stay with me because I want to unpack a real grown folks topic on why some black men might bring words like a big black, just the racially motivated words, okay, into the bedroom. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Now, don't hit pause just yet. It's not a judgment zone. I'm not here to shame anybody for their kinks, or call people out. I'm here just to unpack the reason behind it, the layers, the psychology, the history of it all. Now, the internet be interneting, and recently a person in the spotlight has been sued by a woman that they had a little thing going with each other, right? But the language during their conversations, because audio has been exposed online, text messages, and there's language in there that I was just cringing to because the lady is Caucasian, the person in question is black. And, there are terms like put a big black baby in me or big black guy chokes out small white woman. It's, terms like that. And I'm like, okay, why are you endorsing? It's like a racial situation going on in that. That's they kink. If that's they kink, that's they kink. But when it comes out in public, it's like, ew. So I want to be clear. This episode isn't about pointing fingers at anybody, labeling anybody. It's about asking real questions. Like, how do generational trauma, identity, and desire mix up behind closed doors? What's the fantasy? What's the pain? Where do we draw the line? We're talking nuisance, not nonsense. All right, so let's get into the history and the hurt. Now, you heard that right. I did say history and hurt. And let's not tiptoe around it like we're avoiding a patch of wet floor with our good stockings on. We're talking about slavery and racism. I'm going to be crystal clear right from the jump. We can't even begin to unpack this topic without naming the sheer, unadulterated horror of it all. Because slavery wasn't some little quaint historical footnote. It was brutality. It was systematic dehumanization of human beings. It was about absolute control, the violations of bodies, the tearing apart of families. And yes, let's not flinch away from the ugliness of it. It was about rape. That, my friends, is the stark and brutal historical backdrop against what we are having this conversation on. There's no sugarcoating. There's no matrix pill for you. And that's precisely why the whole idea of even hearing terms like big black baby tossed around in sexual context can be like a punch to the gut for so many. It's not just a term, it's a trigger. It's a stark reminder of the past that continues to cast a long, dark shadow. It can dredge up the trauma, you know what I mean? Feelings of vulnerability and a deep sense of offense. It's like someone casually using the name of a disease that ravaged your family, and that cuts deep. So I'm going to set the ground rules right here and now, because this is not some Jerry Springer episode where we're going to gawk and point fingers. We're all grown. This conversation is about thoughtful exploration. It's about trying to understand the complex and frankly disturbing phenomenon. Disrespect, immaturity. We're leaving it all at the door with our muddy shoes. We're aiming for maturity, empathy, and a genuine attempt to unpack this without causing further hurt. Trust me, there's been enough hurt to go around already. So take a deep breath with me. We're going to navigate this with respect and seriousness. So let's get into the motivations and psychology a little bit. This is where things get a little less black and white, a whole lot more human. Now, part of the motivation and psychology behind it is power reversal. Some folks, bless their complexed hearts, might see it as flipping the script in the bedroom. Like, you try to control us at one point, right? So now I'm the one calling the shots. Even if it's just pretending, is it misguided? A GPS that sends you to Oklahoma when you were trying to get to Houston, that's misguided. But trying to understand where that urge comes from, it's worth a peek under the hood. Maybe it's about finding a sense of agency in one place that they feel they have it, even if it's tangled up in some thorny historical vines. Then we got taboo and transition. This is what get people's motors going. It's a certain thrill in doing what feels a little naughty, right? But when we're talking about race, the naughty meter goes off the charts and into dangerous territory. Because sometimes you could be harmless. Oh, you're so bad, baby. You can stop doing that. In another context, it carries a whole damn history book of pain when race gets thrown in the mix. The stakes aren't just getting higher. They're in a whole different atmosphere. So let's bring up internalized racism. We need to really tread lightly here because we're walking through a room full of antique teacups. Sometimes we think we want ain't really ours. It's what we've been taught to want, often in ways we don't even realize. Sometimes through whispers of shame, the sting of pain, and constant drip of negativity and images and media, it has a way of planting itself into our desires in a sneaky, unconscious way. It's like growing up only seeing one kind of flower and thinking that's the only kind of beautiful flower there is. And there is a difference between sexual fantasy versus reality. Our brains are weird and wonderful places. And what goes in our heads during a moment of fantasy doesn't always reflect our actual beliefs out in the world. But, and this is a big but, when those fantasies are rooted in something that's loaded with racial trauma, they still carry weight. They still have a meaning. It's like dreaming that you're falling, even though you're safe in bed. Then there's the media and porn influence. You can't flip through a TV network, scroll online without seeing some kind of harmful stereotype being pushed in your face, something sexual being pushed in your face. And it's constant. It's a constant repetition. That's like a leaky faucet, slowly conditioning what folks think is normal, even sexy. It's garbage in and garbage out, like my grandmother used to say. And lastly, this idea of conquering trauma by playing with it, right? And lastly, that idea of conquering trauma by playing it out. People think that they're wrestling their demons, trying to take ownership of the pain by acting it out, right? But that's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. It can so easily backfire and re-traumatize you, and it just digs a deeper hole. Sometimes the best way to deal with pain is just to acknowledge it, heal from it, and then leave it behind you. Now listen up, because this is where I draw a big fat line in the sand with a big sparkly marker. Consent is everything. We say it again. Consent is everything. And I don't just mean a mumbled okay while someone's fumbling with a belt buckle. I'm talking about a full-bodied, enthusiastic yes that comes from a place of emotional, spiritual, and yes, sexual alignment. If both people aren't fully in it, their hearts, their minds, their very souls, then it's not role play. It's a potential train wreck that's more than likely to re-up some trauma. It's just waiting to happen. You can't just slap consensual label on something that's dripping with historical pain and expect it to be all good. Now, even if they give you a very enthusiastic yes, you have to acknowledge the potential triggers that's going to come with that territory. Some words, some concepts, they carry weight that no amount of enthusiasm can fully erase. It's like agreeing to hold a hot potato. Even if you're okay with it, you are still going to get burned. Because language matters, right? Words aren't just little puffs of air that disappear. When they carry centuries of pain, they have an echo. Even whispered in the most intimate setting, they resonate outside the bedroom walls. They tap into a collective history, a shared wound, and it's like trying to have a quiet conversation in a room where historical reenactments of tragedy is playing out. The background is noisy. And this is why I'm going to give you some, no-nonsense advice. Talk first, touch later. If your fantasies involve anything that could potentially be loaded with triggering traumatic experiences or just plain weird for your partner, you need to have a real honest conversation about it. Not in the heat of the moment. I'm not talking about when somebody's already halfway undressed and they start feeling awkward. Talk about it over some coffee. Go for a walk. Have a grown folk conversation. And if you can't be comfortable with saying what you want over a little latte, then maybe you shouldn't even consider it. You know what I mean? If you can't express it, then don't do it. And finally, let's not fool ourselves into thinking that what happens behind closed doors is an isolated bubble. Just because it's private doesn't mean it's disconnected from culture. Our desires, our fantasies, they're all shaped by the world we live in. Ignoring the historical and social context of something as charged as racial language, even in intimacy, That's like pretending the ocean doesn't exist because you live in a submarine, but it's still around you and it has a major impact in your life. So let's be ethical. Let's be emotionally intelligent. Let's remember that intimacy should be about connection and pleasure, not unknowingly stepping on landmines of historical pain. Talk it out, be respectful, and please make sure everyone involved is truly wholeheartedly on board. Anything less, that's not love. That's just a recipe of hurt waiting to happen. So through this journey, a very thorny journey of territory, we have to settle in for reflection and wrap up. Okay, this is the part where we're going to try to make a little sense of the beautiful, messy, and sometimes downright perplexing landscape of human desire. Now, if you were hoping for some easy black and white answer for this whole thing, I hate to disappoint you. Because life, especially when it comes to the human heart, that's where it gets tricky. So, of course, there are no easy answers. And like I said, it's not about pointing fingers and declaring who's right or who's wrong in the bedroom. But it's about something much more important, about being cautious, being aware of the history, the potential hurt, and the weight of certain words and ideas that still carry on. So what did we unpack today? We dove headfirst into a complex and often uncomfortable topic of why some black men might engage in racist foreplay or wordplay during intimacy. I laid out the groundwork by acknowledging the brutal history of slavery and racism, and even when the words associated with it can be deeply painful and triggering. Remember, this isn't about language, it's about historical trauma. And we explored some of the potential and often complex and even misguided motivations behind this, including twisted ideas of power reversal, the lure of taboo, the impact of internalized racism, the difference between fantasy and reality, the influence of harmful media, and the flawed notion of conquering trauma through role play. It's messy, and understanding why doesn't equal condoning it. And the absolute non-negotiable consent. It has to be enthusiastic and well-informed on all levels. We also stressed about the potential for triggering, the vital importance of talking it out before touching, and the fact that even private acts have public implications. So ultimately, there is no easy answers. This is about conscious awareness, fostering thoughtful conversations, not shouting matches, questioning without judgment, and really digging deep into where your desires come from. So your homework, should you choose to accept it, is to think about power of language, the weight of history, and the importance of ethical and emotional intelligent intimacy. Have those conversations, be thoughtful, and let's all strive for deeper understanding and respect. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. You know where to find your favorite sassy, always honest girlfriend in your earbuds, okay? Just hit that subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube so you don't miss an episode. And you know I love hearing from you guys. You just don't understand how much I love hearing from you guys. So keep those letters coming. We keep it grown, and we're going to keep it nice and funny and light around here. And if you're feeling extra generous and want to fuel my late night podcast prep, okay, maybe my secret stash of dark chocolate too, you can support this little venture over at buymeacoffee.com/talktomemichele. Every little bit helps keep the conversation flowing. And while you're out here in the podcast universe, be sure to check out the MBG Podcast Network for more amazing voices in the Black podcast community. You can also find me causing a ruckus in a good way, mostly, on all social media platforms. Just search for Talk to Me Michele on all things. Until next episode, my loves, take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and remember to keep it real. Peace. I'm out.